Finally, we see something that actually looks next generation. Time to get excited.
Skip it up and that up.
So today, Epic Games released a demo of Unreal Engine 5 running on the PlayStation 5, and it looked awesome. It wasn't totally mind-blowing, but this is just the beginning of next gen. And if this is just the beginning of what next gen will look like, man, things are going to get good. So as I'm going over my talking points, you're going to see some of the Unreal Engine 5 demo playing. Again, this was on PlayStation 5 hardware. And man, there was a lot of interesting tech they talked about. The first feature they talked about was Nanite, and I'm actually quoting from the video here. Nanite frees developers from having to worry about polygon count and levels of detail. It enables you to author all of the content in the game at its full movie quality level of resolution, and then rely on the game engine to scale it down so it runs in real time on every device. Now, one of the interesting things they use here is Quixel Megascan assets, but they used film versions, not the game versions, which would be more compressed. And when you look at the rocks, it looks photorealistic. It's pretty mind-blowing. They also showed later how many polygons they were using, and it actually just looked like pixels because there's so many polygons on the screen that they don't look like triangles. It looks like noise almost, or pixels. It's pretty crazy. Now, they also went on to talk about sound, obviously through my monitor or even putting on a pair of headphones, where they use convolution reverb to simulate how sound would echo in a cave. They actually went into caves to hear how sound would react when they went into these caves. Pretty interesting stuff. Obviously, right now, through a heavily compressed YouTube video, you're not really going to be able to take advantage of it, so I'll believe them. The swarms of bats were created with the Niagara effect system, so things like bats will react to the environment, which I found to be very cool. So when there's background living things, NPCs, they won't just kind of just be on a path. They'll actually, whatever environment they're in, they will adapt to it, so they'll seem more natural. They also showed off fluid simulation. To me, it still looks like a character's walking through Jello. Maybe in time that will improve. It doesn't look like natural water still, in my opinion, but E for effort. It's still better than a lot of other water demos that I've seen. They also showed off the chaos physics system, which shows how, rocks were falling from the cliff inside the cave and how her scarf reacts to wind and movement. And with animation, they're going to have predictive foot placement and motion warping to make character movement more fluid, meaning that an animator doesn't have to necessarily animate every single frame of how a character will react to different things. You ever notice how in a game sometimes, like, your character should be grabbing a certain rock and they don't because the animator didn't put that animation in, and sometimes the character you're playing doesn't react naturally to the environment. Now the characters will adapt to the geometry and it'll look more natural when they're climbing up a rock or a ledge, so on and so forth. Also, too, I almost forgot to mention this, the all dynamic lighting, the Lumen. It's multi-bounce global illumination, meaning that there's no baked lighting. In previous generations, especially more so in the 7th generation, when you saw lighting like in a game Killzone 2, that was baked in. It was the artist creating fake light. It wasn't coming from the engine. They were just painting light into the area to make it look like something was illuminating or lighting up. The light inside this Unreal Engine 5 tech demo is real. And they show how when they move around the light in the scene, you see how it naturally reacts to the objects that it's hitting. And when she goes into the other part of the demo, she has that blue light in her hand, and the bugs start moving from the light, and the light reflects off of certain things. It's real-time lighting. They didn't even mention this, but you saw how the shadows were, like if there was a pot there, when she had the blue light in her hand, you would see the shadow change with her moving her blue light around in her hand. So that was pretty cool as well. And the light reacts to geometry changes. So the hole pops up in the ceiling like they showed, you'll see a light coming through. interesting stuff. Again, it's not baked lighting. If you had baked lighting in a game with the more limited hardware of the past, you couldn't do stuff like that. Now, towards the end of the demo, they show a statue which in and of itself is 30 million triangles. It looks pretty damn amazing. But then they show a room of 500 of those statues, each with the same amount of polygons, 30 million triangles each. So they said there was 16 billion triangles from those statues being rendered in that room that she was in. Damn, son, that's a lot of triangles. That's a lot of calculations. That's a lot of photorealistic gaming we got going on there. And in the demo alone, the short demo that they show, there were hundreds of billions of triangles total. Now, you're probably thinking, if you're not super technical, which would look, I can't even count to 10 with my fingers. I'm not a programmer or by any stretch of the imagination. That means that the more polygons there are, the more realistic animations could look, characters could look, environments could look, and the more triangles you have, the more realistic rock formations look, the more realistic a cathedral could look, the more realistic an entire environment could look. And that's the reason why they kept on talking about triangles. I saw in the IGN video, everyone's like, triangles about triangles, Yeah, the more polygons, the more triangles an engine can push, the more realistic the environment could look. When you go back to previous generations like the PlayStation 1 and N64, they couldn't push that many triangles, and that's why Lara Croft had triangle boobs. She looked like Madonna. So, again, if you want to, I'll have a link to the video in the description. They go into way more detail than I do. That's not the point of me making this video. This is the kind of stuff, Sony and Microsoft, that we want to see. This is what we want to see. Showing a trailer like a movie trailer, which Microsoft admitted that they shouldn't have done. They should have shown more gameplay and shouldn't have called it a gameplay reveal with the Xbox event they just had. This is the stuff that gets people excited for next gen. This is the stuff that makes people want to invest, customers want to purchase a next gen console. Trailers don't mean anything. A trailer for a movie would excite me more because it's an experience that you're sitting through, but I want to see what gameplay is going to look like. I want to see what these next generation environments are going to look like. Now, is this a mind-blowing jump from current generation? Of course not, but we still have, it's just the beginning. And if games are already going to look this good with the Unreal Engine in the beginning, they had it running on a PlayStation 5 recording. That's where that demo was running. Man, oh man, a couple of years from now, we're going to be in for a treat. So this is the kind of stuff Sony and Microsoft we want to see. Bring out more of it, show more gameplay, and that's going to get people amped for purchasing a next-gen console. That and showing actually what the PlayStation 5 looks like and finally announcing prices would be nice too. That would be very nice. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one. Hey, if you enjoy my content, consider becoming a Review Tech USA member. I'll have a link below in the description. I live stream now on this channel all the time, and it gives you access to cool emoticons to use as well while I live stream. Again, link below in the description. Thank you for your continued support.